Hey there, thanks for tuning in for another video. This one's going to be a little different because in the last video I'd mentioned that I was dealing with the leak in the back bay, the little basement section, and a lot of you guys wanted to know what that was all about. So this is kind of a quick recap of all the stuff that happened to diagnose and fix that leak. And it was a process. What should have been probably an easy, common sense fix, I think I overcomplicated it. So it started the very first week, almost the very first day that I started to go full timing at the beginning of February. Now granted, I have had the rig in January. We had it, I took it out, we obviously brought it back from Iowa. You know, I went to Quartzsite, Arizona for 4 or 5 days to do some boondocking in it. Never had this problem. It wasn't even until I left Long Beach's RV park that it happened. So I was sleeping, and the next morning I got this knock on the... Hey, are you in there? It's maintenance from the RV park. You're leaking out of the back. And then after that, you're like, oh crap, what's going on? So I got out of bed and grabbed my camera to go take a look. That's a lot of water. Whatever it was, it looks like it's coming from that side. Well, there's something there that's all wet in the holding tanks. It looks like it's kind of dripping around and leaking there. Down that way too. Looks like there might be something else that way. It's definitely fresh water. So I think it has something to do with the rear bath. So the only thing that's going on in the rear bath is washer, dryer, sink, and the toilet. But nothing's been on. The washing machine was used last night, but it shouldn't still be that was like 8 hours ago, 9 hours ago. So nothing else has been on. It's got to be the furnace related or just a leak, but that's weird. It's all right. That's what you want to be woken up to in the morning. The one day in the last, I don't know, 2 weeks where I thought I could sleep in. Okay, so now, obviously this isn't right. It's the first time that it's happened, but at the same time, I was staying at this park in Orange, California, only because I was waiting for the ready brake system to be installed for my tow, but that was supposed to be done. So I had to go, and then I had to get to my first destination, which was in Palm Springs, California. So I was kind of on a time crunch, and I didn't have a lot of time to dedicate fully to fixing or diagnosing that issue. So I went there, got the tow part done, and then headed to Palm Springs, California. The part about Palm Springs is I was there for 2 weeks and didn't have another problem since. I mean, there was no leaking coming out of the back. I know that trying to diagnose a problem, one of the first things that you want to do is see if you can replicate it so you can identify where it's coming from. But I was never able to do it, and I didn't have any other problems for an additional 2 weeks. So then I moved from Palm Springs, California to Desert Hot Springs, about 35 or 40 miles north of Palm Springs or so. And I was there for another week and still had really no issues. Everything seemed to be fine. I wasn't leaking out of the back or anything. And I left there and headed to Temecula, California, where I stayed at the Thousand Trails Wilderness Lakes RV Park. I was there for 2 weeks, and then that's when everything just started happening. So 2 days ago, and then it happened again today. I've come in here to get the griddle, and all of this area was full of water, and I couldn't figure out why. And it looks like it's fresh water. I mean, I was looking at it, and it's not black or anything, and I thought it might be gray, but you know, it's not sudsy, so it's not coming from the shower or anything. Well, maybe it might be. So anyways, I've been going through some troubleshooting, and I found this tiny little leak right there, and my holding tank's at 33%. It started doing it when it was about 33%. And I was like, is it possible that tiny leak can cause all this overnight? But now I see it starting to drip a little more. So I think what's happening is it's dripping from there, dripping down here, collecting here, and then when it gets to here, this pipe pushes it overboard, and I can see little things right there, and then it starts to collect in here. So I'm trying to recreate the problem or the situation to see if there's anything else. I'm going to try and put this holding tank all the way to full before I drain it, just to make sure no other leaks pop up. But this has been bugging me for a while. This isn't the first time it happened, so now it's time to do some troubleshooting. It looks like, yeah, as the tank gets heavier and fuller, it looks like the leaks happen faster. So I can see how if I take a shower at 9 or 8 in the morning, by the next day, it could be full. And this isn't even all of it. I already emptied out some of it right here with the towel. So I've been working on it. I called a mechanic who's going to be coming out tomorrow. He had mentioned that it has something to do with the SaniFlush. So a few days ago, I completely disconnected the SaniFlush hose, turned off all the water, completely drained out all of the black 1 and black 2 out of the entire system, and we were still having problems. As a matter of fact, it seemed like it was getting worse. So trying to identify exactly what this was, I knew it was coming from the freshwater tank, and so I was able to diagnose it, I think, to here. This is, see, there it is again. Earlier, this water pressure regulator was set up to 80, and it's supposed to be between 40 and 60. I downgraded it to 40, and it just shot right back up again to 60. So now I need to readjust. I think I'm just getting way too much pressure through the hose here, and that was causing the problem. So I need to adjust it again. What's strange is it just keeps, now it's not even here. So let's see if I turn this down. Well, let me turn it off all the way first. Okay, so now there's no water. Crank it up a bit. Am I turning this the right way? Let me go back and I'm gonna do a power tank fill. Get some water going through here and see what it does. Okay, so it looks like when water's flowing, if I set it at 40, it'll regulate it at 40. That's when it's in use. Then when I stop that and I put it back to city water, so no water's flowing through, it bumps up to 60. So I don't know if that means that water's coming into this pressure nozzle at 60, and then when it's being used, it's regulating it down to 40. That must be what it means. So hopefully that'll solve the problem, or at least eliminate one of the possible problems to get us in a better position. But yeah, if that thing was running at 80, that's a lot for this rig. So the mechanic did say water is a fickle beast. I mean, if it's leaking somewhere and it's piling up somewhere, it will find a way to make its way out. And just because it's leaking from one spot doesn't mean that's what's causing the leak. So for example, if just because it's leaking in the back by the gray water tank does not mean it's the gray water tank that's leaking. You know, water finds a way. So he right away looked at the SaniFlush when he got here, and it turned out that that was fine. We replaced and did the upgrades because he said that's a common occurrence. Hasn't happened to me yet, but we swapped that out anyways. And then we found this. So there had been water that had been puddling up in this area as well on occasion. It wasn't, again, every night. And it never seemed to be, when water would puddle up in the bathroom here, was never the same day or time where it would puddle up outside. So that was weird. And I thought maybe it was a leak from the shower, maybe we were just uneven or something, but sometimes water would puddle up here that we would try and get in there. So the mechanic came in, let me turn this light on. the mechanic came in and we took apart this entire section. And what we were finding is this was a little damp right here, and this is the one of the pipes that kind of go under. So we undid this entire area, and we found out that what the problem was, a very simple, very basic problem. This here is the fresh water tank going up to the rear bath toilet. And it was not screwed in all the way. So it was creating a leak. The water would leak from here down the hose, and then it would catch the other pipe, it would travel down the other one, and then it would just start to drip, and then occasionally it would start to drip through here. That was the culprit. This standard issue water hose that came from the factory was just simply not tightened all the way. So what I ended up doing, and we did this too, we went through all the faucets, the bathroom ones, we tore apart the nozzles in the shower, we took apart the ones in the kitchen, the other bathroom. I went outside to the exterior things, and we tightened all the hoses. And it's amazing that we were able to get a good 2, maybe 2 1/4 turns revolution on all of the water pipes that were coming into the rig. And again, this is a new rig, so I don't understand why it was. But anyways, that was the issue, is we had the tiny drops. Those tiny drops are running down that back water line to the back of the toilet, going underneath the pipes, running out through here, billowing where you saw it in the tanks. And that was just, but it seemed like it was just an ongoing issue, because it was just constant drips and constant drips and constant drips, that one tiny little spot. But I still don't know why it happened regularly some days and others not. There's always water going to that from the fresh water tank. So anyways, we figured it out. That's what happened. Well, thanks for sticking around this long of a video. I know it's kind of a weird one, but I had a question for you. And really it was more of a help suggestion kind of a thing, because on all the videos I've done, you guys have offered some amazing advice and tips and tricks on how to be able to be safer on the road, make sure that they're protecting the rig, and I've implemented a lot of those changes that you guys have left in the comments, so I really appreciate that. But I want to know, what have you done? Have you had a similar situation? Are there things that I missed? Am I right on that water pressure regulator? I can't seem to try and track that one down either. And is there anything else that needs to be done to make sure that we continue staying safe and protecting the rig the best that we can? I know things are going to happen, and I'm going to continue to work on things, but your comments and suggestions and observations mean the world. So thank you again for tuning in. We're going to get back to other great trips, because as you saw, I haven't been able to put anything up about Palm Springs. I haven't been able to put up anything about Temecula and wine tasting and all that. I'm going to get to that as well, but I wanted to get this one out for you guys just as a thank you for watching and commenting and subscribing to my channel. It's moving forward slowly but surely, and I just can't thank you all enough for your support. So until next time, I'm Stuart, and thanks for watching Claim the Vision. Have a good one.